Hello, everyone, and welcome to N1P Podcast. It's another episode here at N1P Podcast, and this is the faculty, as I said, Open Basket. This is the 15th episode of Open Basket. I will soon start the recording, and I will start the whole session very soon. I will just start some. I will do some prayer first before I jump in again, as it is Ramadan. Ramadan Kareem to everyone. Just gonna pray very quick and come back in. So enjoy the music. I will share some music from my friend. My friend made this song. Yeah. Yes, thank you so much from a bro. DJ Ajaz Beats. He had some beats for me and gave me that, and he said just put this on if you like. And yeah, thank him for that. If you guys want to look up a little bit more about that, you can check out his website or his YouTube channel and see for yourself. There's a lot of music there to help inspire people if they like African music. Yeah, so let's just move on. I say thank you for everyone that came in today and want to listen to me speaking about N1P podcast. Sorry, it was the 16th episode today. Today is Open Basket episode 16. And today we'll speak about a lot of interesting topics. Some of them are news coming from Africa. Then we're going to speak about, economy, global economy and its impact in Africa. And also speak about the merging economies coming from out of Africa and going out to the West and the rest of the world. I want to say thank you for coming in and tuning in to N1P podcast. This is the #1 podcast. It is a Pan-African podcast meant to inspire people to understand more about their own, innovative, innovative subconscious traditions, and also understand their own place in the global economy. So we will speak about key issues, the key issues in 2022. We also speak about global economy, global economical systems versus traditional economy. It's going to be very hard for me to go through that all of it directly. So if it tends to go over time, I will then take this and make it into the next episode and go forward with it. And the third point always is always about ancient and also new innovations. The reason why is because I want people to understand that nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun. And that's why we need to also understand that all the inventions that we see today are actually just reinvented. They are not invented, they are reinvented. So when we see things that we see today, especially when it comes to the realm of technology, etc., we do get inspirations from where? Nature. Nature is our first school. So nature gave us all of this inspiration to build all of these different, tools to gain us some more leverage when it comes to, when it came to agriculture, when it came to, innovations in specific fields, like, surgery, for example, or also, stone cutting, etc. I will go in a little bit further into speaking about, ancient innovations and, ancient aspects of technology, and also get people to understand that, nothing is new under the sun. So we will first off speak about some of the key issues in Africa. As we all know, Africa has entered 2020 with a long and urgent to-do list. And we also have to understand that politics, economy, economics, security and health issues are the continent's most important issues. And also to understand some of the things that we need to recover from, like malnutrition, famines. We're speaking about, wars, civil wars, etc. All these things are things that, we have gone through. So, like my friend always said to me, he said, we can only, it can only get better from now. It can never get worse because we've already gone through. Africa has already gone through, episodes of tragic incidents, etc. So we know much about these things, and what we can do is to learn from the past and not do the same type of mistakes that we did in the past. So we will speak about a little bit about election governance, of course, trade. We'll speak about digital economies. We'll speak about um, climate change. I don't know if it is a topic that we can change so much, because the climate has already gone through its course, and it's already gone through the stages of the climatic events that um, we have seen, but we have seen a little bit from it, and the climatic changes will most definitely affect us as humans. That's why we need to start adapting to it. um, but we should have done that already, maybe 50 years ago. So we are quite late on trying to evade certain things. We just have to, adapt to the situation that we have, especially when it comes to climate change, etc. So we also speak about a little bit of migration. We'll speak about, some key issues. So we start off with elections and governance. So 18 African countries are slated to hold elections of one sort or another this year. And what will also be undoubtedly be a measure of continent's commitment to democratic governance. Some elections will also take watch and see, like, for example, Angola, Kenya, Libya, Senegal, states such as Chad, Guinea, Mali, and Sudan. Many of these, countries are still dealing with the aftermath of coup d'etats that occurred in the last 18 months. These messy takeovers have also fueled instability in the Maghreb, which is, if you guys know where Maghreb is, it's in the Sahel region, which is in the Sahara. You also have East Africa and the Horn itself. So a lot of conflicts going on. Hopefully, we will see more understanding and try to resolve certain things, certain issues evolving wars in these regions, because they tend to escalate, and we don't need to escalate anymore. We need to bring peace into our continent so that we can together build an economy and GDP that can grow and become much stronger than we've ever seen before. So the African Union also, and the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, are pushing for military leaders in these states to commit to civilian transitions by holding elections this year. So, as we also know, Mali and many other countries have had some sort of, coup d'etat, and there's a military junta taken over. And with these military leaders and states, the ECOWAS as a union by itself, economical union, are now pushing these states to actually commit to the civilian transition. so that people can vote, and we can have elections. It's very, very important for Africa to democratize in a fashion that is proper for us as the diasporans, so that we can come in and we can start investing into those countries. Because if these problems still merge, then what's going to happen is that people will not go and invest into these countries. So FDI, like I spoke about last time, foreign direct investments are very important for African countries to develop their GDPs. Hence the reason why it's very sacred for us to actually, do not be in war with each other. So we need to find a way to, start to have a dialogue process and stop the violence, and start becoming more unique in the way that because we are unique as Africans and diaspora as well. We have a unique chance now to actually form an African Union that can strive, towards what we actually want as, youth and leaders. Leaders themselves also have to understand that, you know, our history in Africa, you need to understand our history. We need to also understand, the commitment people have in certain regions of Africa. We also have to reform the African Union. We have to reform it, not in a way that make a drastic change of the African Union, but we need to do some form of reforms in the Union when it comes to especially border conflicts or borders. We need to settle them. With the best way to do this is to maybe go back to the old days, or traditional ways of settling certain things. There are perfect examples in many countries in Africa. Some of them stands out. Somaliland is one of those that stand out when it comes to conflict resolution, which they did in Boro, in their city, where they resoluted the conflict, and people came together and they formed a new government. And these are the things I think Africa at large need to, come to an understanding of, is that we, or not we, but the people of Africa, or people in Africa, the people in the diaspora, were eager to start investing into the continent. So we need peace, we need peace, we need prosperity, and that's what we need in Africa, all in all. Anyways, going back to the key issues here, speaking about, Southern African Development Community, SADC, recently also intervened in Eswatini to establish and oversee a national dialogue process after months of violence and clashes between pro-democracy protesters and security forces. It will be important to watch how these unfold in the coming months, and also whether long-standing demands from opposition groups and activists for wider democratic reforms in Africa and Africa at large. And also, Eswatini is, I think, one of Africa's last absolute monarchy that also will be met at, in Eswatini. And also the African peer review mechanism, a continental good governance monitoring promotion tool, is also striving for universal accession by 2023. Currently, 41 of 55 states are voluntary members of this. This was written by Stephen Grudz, which is the head of African governance and diplomacy programme, South African Institution or Institute of International Affairs, SAIIA. We're also going to speak about trade. 2022, Africa remains underrepresented in the global trade, now accounting for around 2.19% of global exports and 2.85% of global imports in 2020. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, can reverse this trend if it is efficiently implemented. Launched in January 2021, the agreement is also a crucial step towards boosting regional trade and economical development, but also full trading activity is yet to commence due to the ongoing negotiations on various protocols. Let me just go back there and see. Yes. So, concluding the negotiations on agreements on, for example, rules of origin, the legal provisions used to determine the nationalities of a product in the context of international trade, and also protocols on trade in e-commerce and services is a priority as well. While these are unavoidable, very complex. The strain on the economic growth due to COVID-19 necessitates that the acceleration of AFCFTA needs to be accelerated. The newly launched Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPSS, holds the potential. The platform itself, also developed by Afrixm Bank, AFREXIM Bank, and the AFCFTA secretaries, is also expected to bolster intra-African trade by facilitating simpler and more secure cross-border payments and reducing the payment transitions cost by 5 billion annually. The African Trade Gateway, also AFCFTA adjustment facilities and trade finance facilities are also expected to take off, making 2022 a promising year for the effective operation and success of regional economic initiatives. However, it will also take much longer for the continent to fully recover from the economic shock of the pandemic itself. Nothing new about the pandemic. We know that it hits economies, and economies have to adapt to the situation that they are on. And I mean, when it comes to the pandemic itself, I'm not sure it's not going to go away for a while. So let's just keep the hope. This was written by Adedeji Adenira, the director of education and governance research and senior research fellow at the Center of Study of Economies of Africa, the CSEA. We're also going to speak about digital economies, and digital economies are one of the four common giants that are coming into Africa, and it's been there for a while. But I think Africa will be the forefront when it comes to digital economies because they have adapted many societies in digital currency, digital economies, etc. So whether 2022 will be the year of recovery or for continuing crisis management, the construction and strengthening of African digital economies remains a critical policy priority for the continent itself. COVID-19 pandemic has also accelerated digital transformation in many parts of the world, both increasing the utility of internet access and also underlining the apparent promise of digital economies. But the pandemic itself has also led to compelling or compelling insights into growing inequities in on the continent itself, leading to the need for greater efforts to help reduce divides within and across digital economies in Africa and the world. From a policy priority perspective, African policymakers must also address the mitigate the risks that accompanies the continent's increased reliance on global digital economies this year. This includes finding better ways to expand African telecom infrastructure and connect Africa's unconnected continent, but also the need to address the countervailing costly impacts of disconnecting parts of it through internet shutdowns or misguided attempts to tax digital services. While more supportive data governance frameworks, for example, data protection laws and cybersecurity strategies, and better resourced institutions, example, information regulators, are needed at local levels. Cross-border coordinations is also crucial to address the global risks. New and existing continental policy efforts relevant to also digital economies will also therefore be particularly important this year, while progress towards the ratification of African Union's Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, known as the Malabo Convention, has also been slowed down. There has been talks of the need of Malabo 2.0. The AU, African Union, is ongoing efforts to develop a comprehensive data governance policy and framework might also be more fruitful this year, as will ongoing efforts to implement the African continent free trade arena, which also should facilitate easier continental trading. This was written by André van der Sproe. He's a senior researcher associated with the research in ICT Africa. We're also going to discuss, discuss climate change, global efforts to address climate change. Also, change continues to fall short of what is required to keep the Paris Agreement temperatures goal level below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Last year, global climate negotiations, COP26, resulted in some gains. For example, around financing for adaptation and curbing deforestation. Also significant was also the 5.8 billion deal announced to support a just transition in South Africa. Yet, commitments to curb greenhouse gas emissions remain insufficient, as do financing commitment to help developing countries to adapt to climate change. And also, Egypt will host COP27 this year, billed as the African COP. The region will be seeking opportunities throughout the year to secure meaningful commitments to its agenda. Africa has also long been clear about its climate priorities. The region also needs financing to support adaptation, as well as technology transfer and other forms of support. Africa is actually aware of the needs of climate action, but such actions such also should also support the region's development and industrialization ambitions. Very good. We need to, yes. That will also require skills and capacity development, green jobs and investments. In 2022, Africa will also be pushing for the concrete actions and more ambitious commitments around climate finance, the just transition, supporting enhanced energy access, and a green recovery as the region grapples with the socio-economical fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. This was written by Alex Bankistan, head of the Governance of African Resources Programme, South African Institute of International Affairs. Yes, and that's about it, what we're speaking about when it comes to news coming out of Africa. And now we are going to speak about something that we spoke about before, but today we will speak about we will take out a little bit of a clip. I will share a video where the Drogba, one of the famous football players, speaking about his foundation and what he has done and will do for the African continent in the near future. Let us go to that stream. Just wait. There you go.
Collaboration, particularly with the diaspora. You know, as a Georgian here, we saw what Black Panther did, and they're shooting a second. Obviously, I think they've done shooting in Georgia here, but how that really brought us all together, and we need to see more projects like that that really highlight the good and the importance of our collaboration. So again, thank you for your comments. I'm going to transfer. I'm going to move over to Didier Drogba, the legend here. I had a couple questions. I wanted to talk a little bit about your foundation and how your foundation, particularly in this stage of your career, after having such an illustrious sports playing career, now you're taking a transition to really giving back through your charity work. So let us know a little bit about your charity work and how you see that as a soft power in your role.
Thank you very much. Well, I have to say that it is an honor for me to be with such great people who inspire the continent in everything they're doing. And as a young African born in Côte d'Ivoire, I left the continent when I was 6, went to France, performed, became successful through my career, won a lot of trophies, played on different continents, and came back to the motherland and try to bring back to my community. And so I created the DJ Drogba Foundation in 2007, and we built a clinic center. We also have school. So, and now we're focusing on digital literacy, because I believe it's important for me. It was important for me as an ex-athlete to make people understand, to speak to the youth. You know, they represent like 60% of the population is under 25, and they are the ones who are watching the games. They are the ones who are always on social medias, on their smartphones. They are the future of the continent. So and they want to be successful as well. They dream, you know. And I was there playing for 20 years to show them that it's a dream that can become reality. So I've been through the same how do you say that, the same challenges as them, to perform and to leave the country and become successful. So I came back to Côte d'Ivoire and focusing more on the foundation and to spread a positive message, because Africa has a lot of potential, and our challenge as leaders is to turn this potential and to make it a success. And I'm really happy what is happening with the film industry in Africa, and with sports and the NBA African League, with my big brother Amadou that I'm supporting, and in football, which is the sport of the people. It's important to inspire, but to understand that the game that they see on TV is bigger than what they see. So there's an industry behind that. You know, there's jobs, there's business opportunities that you can create around sports, and specifically in around football. And I believe that we are still far away in terms of football. We're still far away from this. And to be honest, I think this is what will make the difference between African teams playing in a World Cup and African teams competing to win a World Cup. Once we will understand that there is a business industry in football that can generate revenues, so we have to develop infrastructures. We have to help those kids to make sure that they grow in a better environment, like they are doing in the NBA. And that's exactly what Amadou wants to do in Africa. So I think we all speak the same language, and I'm really happy because sport and culture goes together. They really go together. Before a game, either I'm at home watching a movie, or I'm in the car listening to music. I'm meeting with art people, you know, to try to get the creative a creative mind. So we have to work together, and I'm really happy that His Excellency Yad organized this panel, and I'm really happy to be part of it. And I hope that we will inspire more people to join us and to make sure that we create what is something sustainable for the continent.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Drogba and the Drogba Foundation. I have the distinct honor now, as we have the Honorable Prime Minister.
So like we saw here, we had a good example of entrepreneurship coming from Africa itself. He's a very, very talented football player, Didier Drogba, and he's speaking about the potential that Africa has when it comes to economical prosperity and etc. So his foundation, he was speaking about, a comment, African football. No, we're not speaking about African football. He's specifically speaking about what he can provide for the continent. So we're speaking out of global economy and what Africa can bring to the world when it comes to certain fields. He himself, Dieder Drogba, is a professional. He was a professional football player, and he started a foundation, and that was what the actual clip was about. His foundation and what he's doing and he's striving for in Africa at large, so that you and everyone else in the audience knows what this is all about. And it's also a really strong impact when it comes to African industries. And what we can do is actually build an industry when it comes to football as well. Like when we see here in the West, it is actually an industry itself. So why can't Africa have the same? Why can't Africa build their institutions, football institutions, and build revenue that way as well? Because I know that GDP can grow a lot just through the football, just through football itself, and all other types of sports. But we need proper institutions, and that is what Dieder Drogba was speaking about. So let's just continue with today's topics. And we were speaking about, traditional economies, and the tension between traditional lifestyles and Western influences, and how that impacts or impacted African cultures. So how, ask the questions. So I'm asking questions and then answer them. So how has the Western culture affected the African culture? The Western culture has a tremendous impact on African traditional societies in very positive and negative dimensions. It has given rise to a culturalization and improved on value systems in African societies. I'm not sure we speak about the same things when it comes to values. What is values? I think they have a different aspect and a different mindset when it comes to influences and cultural effects on African cultures. There's a very good question there from my brother, Mr. IC3. How can you build African institutions? How can you build African institutions? Just like you build factories, that's how you build institutions. It's that simple. But the process is not simple. You have to go through certain stages, due processes, in order for you to, accumulate, for example, land and the proper infrastructure for that facility or that institution to exist. So you would need to have, first of all, you need to have the funds. You need to have a proper connection with the government itself in order for you to build any of these types of institutions. When it comes to football, to a Pan-African institution, which I want to build, and I think many other people want to build many different institutions, whether it is factories or just industries. I think we have a major opportunity in Africa to build those institutions. No, you don't. There's another question here. It's asking, do you need African Union to build African institutions? No, you don't need the whole African Union to build an African institution. You need to, first of all, localize yourself, find a place you want to live, first of all, or a place that you want to, build your economy, your personal economy, first of all. And then from there, you go into like I said, due processes. You need to go and ask certain institutions that are already built there. You need to speak to, eligible people, like, for instance, ministers or other people that are working for the government, contractors, etc., in order for you to have a foot in. When you have a foot in, you then need to speak to these people and come to certain agreements with these people. And from there, that's where you work from. Yeah. So from there, that's where it starts. But it starts also first, like in the beginning, to even start an institution. What is it? What is it that you want to start? What is it that you want to do? What is the purpose of your work? What is it that you want to do? It's a question you need to ask yourself. First of all, you need to have a proper plan before you even consider building an African institution. I mean, I don't understand African institution. African institution can be anything. I'm speaking more about any type of institution, whether it is a Pan-African institution that speaks about Pan-Africanism and giving a Pan-African curriculum, and serving the African communities, building the local environment wherever they are. That's my goal. That's what I want to do. But building an African institution, you can build any type of African institution, if that answers your question. There's another question there. You know what, bro? I will let you in so that you can ask me these questions live instead of. I will answer your questions. Don't worry. I will. I gave you the link there. The link is there in the board. If you want to click on the link and jump in and ask your questions, you can gladly do that, brother man. I will answer that question anyways. First question is third question is, can you build African institutions without approval of France, Dutch, and Britain governments? Yes, you can. You don't need to even speak to them when you want to build your institution, let alone funds from them. There are international organizations where you can get your funds from. International organizations do not have any country which they strive from. They're international. They are based for international international development. So if it is that you want to may build a French institution in Africa, then of course you need to speak to France. Same with Dutch or British, but that's not the end game. I don't think people think about that when it comes to building institutions in Africa. But very nice that you came in and gave me these questions. It's very good for us to have these dialogues so that people can get more involved, and I appreciate that, IC3. Thank you so much for those questions. And if you want to jump in, or anyone else want to jump in, they are more than gladly you can come in at any given time. Come in and just ask your questions. You're more than welcome. This is a forum for educational purposes, so we are here to inform and to rebuild our minds and our thought processes. So this is exactly what we want to do, to form questions. And thank you for those questions. I will continue now and ask some more questions and answer them as well. How did the West influence Africa as well? Historically, the wildlife, natural resources, and culture have also made Africa highly valuable continent to the Western world. Africa has also gathered the attention of Western tourists, Western explorers, and Western imperialists from all over the world. Talking about imperialism from back in the days. As such, Africa has been heavily influenced over time by Western interests. And it's sad because Africa has a lot of, traditional, uh, traditional cultural benefits that they have and will always have. That's why I think Africa in itself will always strive towards having their customs, their traditions still alive. They want to have it. They want to keep it alive. So I think that's very, very important for us to include. What is the impact of Western culture? Western culture impact, the effect of Western cultures is greatly seen in our customs, traditions, social and moral behaviors. Our love and respect for one another. These days, a person's love to live in freedom. He does not want to bind themselves into African customs and traditions, which is a little bit terrible because we have a lot of, cultural traditions and customs that we still want to keep on and hold on. Yeah, there's another question here from Mr. IC3. Do you mean like getting help and investment from World Economic Forum or World Bank or IMF? No, there are other institutions. There are African institutions where you can get your funds from. There are black hedge funds all over the planet as well, where you can try to get your funds from as well. So if you come up and pitch very good, like a salesperson does. So if you're very good at pitching, if you pitch good, you can go to other institutions, African institutions. You do not need to go to the WEF or the WB or the IMF. You do not need to. You can go directly towards African institutions or fundraisers or hedge funds that are directly, focusing on African and Black businesses across the world. I hope that answers your questions. What is culture and traditions in Africa? And African traditions are expressed through music, art, dance, and sculptures. African traditions is also expressed through many different art forms such as music, dance, art, sculptures, and beadworks. These traditions are deeply ingrained into the whole African culture. So now we are going to jump over to something else that I wanted to discuss as well, which is, let me see. Oh, the digital economy. Digital economy for African initiatives. So the digital economy initiatives for Africa, the DE4A, its name is. It's quite hard to read that, but that's what it is. The DE4A aims to ensure that every individual, business, government, and governments within Africa will be digitally enabled by 2030. In support of African Union, Digital transformation strategies for Africa. See another question here again. Which African organization can lend money for development of African institutions without European approval? Okay, I will answer that in due time. Just bear with me. We'll find it here. Just bear with me. Copy. Let me go here. Yeah, you have the African Development Bank. So Africa has its own development bank. So if you want to, you can go into there and you can check for yourself. It's called AFBD, AFDB.org. Let me put this in the chat box so that you can check it out for yourself. So Africa itself has a development bank. As a multilateral development bank financed institutions. The African Development Bank Group, AFDB, or the bank, seeks to further the socio-economic well-being of its regional members and countries. To do so, the bank uses the leverage efforts by its rating to lend and favorable terms to its borrower countries resources that have been raised in the international capital markets. The principles financial products offered by the African Development Bank groups are summarized here. So we have, for the loans, you have fully flexible loans, you have ADF loans, you have fixed spread loans. So there's a lot of loans where you can loan money from this bank, and you can also get finance for a specific project that you have. I've got put that link there in the description, or not the description, but in the chat box. So if you want to, you can go in there. I just clicked 2 times and I already got your answer. So hopefully that answered your questions. If you have any more questions, please feel free, my brother. So a little bit of a background of the DEF4, which is the Digital Economy for African Initiative. The opportunity Africa should think big on digital development. At the current incremental pace of economical and social advancements, too many of the African expanding youth population will also be denied the opportunity to live up their own potentials. So the digital technologies offers a chance to disrupt this trajectory, unlocking new pathways for rapid economy and growth, innovation, job creation, and access to services which also would have been unimaginable only a decade ago. Yet, there is also a growing digital divide and increased cyber risks, which need urgent and coordinated actions to mitigate. So, when something comes, something else comes. So, we need to always merge those two. So, there's risks with certain things. So, digitalization, there's risks to digitalization. That's why you need to have proper institutions where you have people that work on cybersecurity 24/7. That is what we need. And it will happen. I'm 100% sure. The time for action is now. Access to the internet remains out of reach for most of the people in the continent of Africa, with only 22% reporting having access in 2017. Too few citizens have digital IDs or transaction accounts, locking them up out of the actual access to critical services and e-commerce. Digital startups also struggles to attract funding, and traditional businesses are only slowing the adopting digital technologies and platforms to boost productivity and sales. So that's why. So you need to transit. We have to, come into a transition when it comes to the traditional businesses, and get them into the platform of digital businesses. So a few governments governments are investing, strategically and systematically in the developing of digital infrastructure, services and skills and entrepreneurship, to become tomorrow's inventors or innovators, entrepreneurs and leaders. African youths need to be empowered with digital skills and access to technology and markets that are essential to thrive in an increasingly digitalized global economy. Governments need to also find more nimble and effective means of delivering services and interacting with citizens. Businesses also need to utilize digitally centered businesses models to connect with hundreds of millions of customers previously out of reach due to geography or low income. Africa has also the potential opportunities to harness the digital economies as a driver of growth and innovations. But if it fails to bridge the digital divide, its economies risk to be isolated and stagnated. The WBG Digital Economy for Africa (DEF4) flagship initiative supports the digital transformation strategies for Africa and prepares Africa by the African Union itself. The DE4A initiative recognized that the digital economy can help accelerating the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) and the Global Bank Group's twins goals. So that's a little bit, about the digitalization and the opportunities that Africa has and will enable them into propelling their economies by the year 2030. And now I'm going to sum up with a little bit of a historical aspects, historical innovations, ancient innovations in Africa, and we will go through it now. So we will speak about two specific objects and also have a video clip here. Let me just get the websites. Copy. I will also share a little bit of a video clip here for you guys as well, so that you can see for yourself the technological advancement that Africa had for many, many thousands of years. So there you go. So first we will start off with a short video speaking about the Haya people in Tanzania, I think they are from, and they're still manufacturing. Dates back many thousands of years. and that's something we're going to show today. So I will share that video as well for you guys to see. And not that one, yes, that one. Now.
The Haya people of Tanzania have been linked to one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs of all time, the advent of steel. Anthropologist Peter Schmidt discovered through the communication of oral tradition that the Haya have been forging steel for nearly 2,000 years. Furnaces were carbon dated and were found to be at least as old as 2,000 years old, whereas steel of this caliber did not appear in Europe until several centuries later. These findings may help alter the perception held by modern society that technological advancement occurred only outside of Africa.
Perfect. So that's why I want to bring this up every time. And the reason why I want to bring this up every time is that I want to, every Friday, I want to bring a little bit of historical aspects of African, innovation, innovative, mindset and what they want to do. Hence the reason why we're also going to speak about these different technologies that Africans have done for many, many thousands of years. So as you all know, there is I will put this link up for you guys as well so that you can check it out for yourself. Put that out there for you. Here you go. There's the link there in the chat box as well if you guys like to see that as well. So we're speaking about different technologies that Africa did many thousands of years back. So today we're going to run this whole thing off very soon, guys. We're doing overtime now. But Limbo Bone and the world's oldest math tool. So the Limbo Bone, the 43,000-year-old Limbo Bone, 43,000. A kind of tally stick found in Swaziland, or today Eswatini, is the oldest known mathematical object, according to CNN. The Limbobo bone is essentially a baboon fibula that has tally marks on its as well, marks on it, mathematical marks, very, very old marks. It is conjectured to have been used for tracking menstrual cycles, and also mark the 29 days of the month. In the 1970s, during the excavation of Border Cave, a small piece of fibula of a baboon, the Limbobo bone, was found marked with 29 clearly defined notches, and at 33,000-year-old, it ranks with the oldest mathematical objects known. The bone is dated approximately 35,000 BC and resembles the calendar stick still in use by bush clans or bushman clans in Namibia. Can you understand how old this is? This is ridiculously old. And this was math. They did mathematics 43,000 years ago. It's very, 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 very unique. Hence the reason why I need to speak about this. Yeah, so the closest town to the Limbobo Mountains is the Siteki, renowned for its Inyanga and Sangoma school, a government school to train healers and diviners. Changes in the section of the notches indicated the use of different cutting edges, which also the bones discoverer, Peter his name was, views as evidence for they having been made like other markings found all over the world during the participation of rituals. The bone is also between 44.2 to 43,000 year old according to 24 radiocarbon datings. This is far older than the Shango bone, with which it is sometimes confused with. Other notched bones are around 80,000 years old, but it is unclear if the notches are merely decorative or if they bear a functional meaning. I think they bear a functional meaning. Of course they did. They just don't want to say it's 80,000 years old because they will never understand or never believe that human beings could do mathematics 80,000 years ago. So it's plain and simple. According to let me see here. According to the Universal Book of Mathematics, the Limbobo bone, 29 notches, suggest it may have been used as a lunar phase counter, in which case African women may have been the first mathematicians, because keeping track of menstrual cycles requires a lunar calendar. However, the bone is clearly broken at one end, so the 29 notches may or may not be a minimum number. In the cases of other notches bones since found globally, there has been no consistent notch tally, many being in the 1 to 10 range. Going back to the Shango bone, the 20,000 year old baboon bone that was like a calculator from the Congo itself. Named after the place where it was found in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, the Shango bone is the bone tool described as the world's oldest calculator and the world's first mathematical device, dated to the Upper Paleolithic period, between 22,000 years and 20,000 years ago. The Shango bone itself is a dark brown bone, likely the fibula of a baboon, just like the one we spoke about before. So it must be some form of connection with these people. There must have been some form of connection with these people, with a sharp piece of quartz on it as well, to one of the ends of the engravings. The Belgian geologist Sean de Brockert found the bone in 1960, buried in a layer of volcanic ash on the shores of Lake Edward in the Ishango region in DRC, near the border with Uganda. The volcanic ash made it relatively easy to date. The Ishango bone is actually two baboon bones, one 10 centimeters and the other is 14 centimeters long, with several inscriptions on each of their faces. The smallest of the two bones was the first to be discovered. Its existence was announced by the Royal Belgian Institute of Natural Science in Brussels. This bone has also several inscriptions organized in groups of 3 columns. The left column is divided into 4 groups, respectively, possessing 19, 19, 17, 13, and 11 notches, adding up to a total of 60 notches. The number 11, 13, 17, and 19 are the 4 prime numbers between 10 and 20. This constitutes a quad of prime numbers. The central column also divided into groups of 8 with some debate over how many notches there were in the parentheses is the maximum number. 7, 8, 5, 7, 5, 9, 10, 8, 14, 4, 6, 6, and 3. The minimal sum is 48, while the maximal sum is 63. The right column is divided into 4 groups, respectively possessing 9, 19, 21, 11 notches, adding up to a total of 60. The second bone has not been well studied. However, we know that it is composed of around 60 or 6 groups of 20, 6, 18, 6, and 20, and 8 notches. According to African Heritage blog, the first bone has also subject to a lot of interpretation. At first, it was also thought to be the tally stick with a series of tally marks, but scientists have demonstrated that the groupings of notches on the bones are indicative of mathematical understanding which goes beyond simple counting. In fact, many believe that the notches follows a mathematical succession. That is something we need to take with us when it comes to, ancient innovations, and that we actually invented still 1,900 years before anyone in Europe did that. So just like you saw there about the Haya people, these are just practical examples of how how developed our African nation has been, our African continent has been, and will be, and will still be in the in the near future. So I think I've rambled around a lot. I've spoken about these 3 different topics today. Hopefully it has given you the information that is needed. I've answered some of the questions in the chat box. Very happy for those questions, and I hope I've answered all of them. And as I said, also, you have some information there in the description box or in the chat box as well of the 2 sites that I've used to actually, understand our historical, innovations and stuff like that. So that's why I want to keep you, updated about what's going on in Africa, speaking about, our economy and how we can, gain even more every time we come up with something new, some technical innovation that we can use it and also make our economy thrive again. I want to say thank you everyone that has been into and tuning in today. This is the 16th episode of Open Basket, a faculty of the N1P podcast, which is a Pan-African podcast. And we are here to, give you guys the information that you guys need in order for you to make decisions, and also give you the information that you need so that you get to understand yourself more culturally, when it comes to, your uniqueness of innovating certain things. I want you to understand, if you're a diaspora from Africa, you need to understand your importance in this world, in this new world that is merging in. We need to understand the new, technologies. We need to understand the economies that are thriving and will thrive. We have an immense opportunity in Africa, like Didier Drogba said in the last clip here, speaking about the youth, being I think it was, what was it? 60% is under 25 years of age. It's a huge population. Huge population. That's around 600 million people. That's a huge population that we need to, canalize into what we want for them to do in the future. We're not demanding them to do certain things. We want them to see where they or their potential are, so they can actually propel their economy. That's why we always, try to enforce this thought of institutional, Pan-Africanism. Try to get people into understanding what you can do with the tools that you have. Africa has immense of opportunities when it comes to, mineral resource, etc. It's so untapped. And also when it comes to infrastructural works, it's so untapped. We have, a broad spectrum of, renewable energy. We have a lot of different new technologies emerging. We need to take advantage of this, unique opportunity that we have as the diaspora. And we need to also understand that we can make that change if we come together and really want to make that change. Yeah. So I want to say thank you guys for coming in to N1P Podcasts, Open Basket Session 16. Yeah, thank you so much. Peace and blessings, everyone, and hope to see you next time. If you like this, go down, hit the subscription box, and also please like this video if you can, and become a member of the Greatest Africa Forum that we have on Discord. That is also up there on the description box. Guys, hit the link, get into our Discord chat group, where we have a lot of information that we, are formulating and forming, every day. Hopefully you guys can be a part of that as well. We're already in the phase now of trying to develop certain institutions in Africa with the help of the power group that I have in the Discord group. So if you guys want to be a part of that as well, come with us, come to the Discord group, come to the power group as well. Be a part of that change they want to see in the world. Thank you so much for me, and God bless you, and peace and blessings. Happy Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem to every Muslim around the world. And also I want to say thank you again, and say open baskets, close baskets. Peace, and see you at the next episode, episode 16 of Open Basket, faculty of N1P Podcast. Thank you. Power to the people. Peace and blessings.